Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone in South Africa watching this program, special program for the tribute that we are sending out for late King Bulelani as the choral music. Without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask Reverend Mali to lead us with a prayer or to lead us with a sermon. But before that, I would ask Sue if you are ready on your side to play the Lord's Prayer by the Woman Table and Fire or any related song. And after that song, we will hand over to Reverend Mali and lead us.
Jacob is
Over to you, Rev. Can you unmute your mic, please? Reverend Mali, we hand over to you for opening devotions and your sermon, please. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today as the choral music. We felt that without us as the choral music, extending this tribute to Bulelani Koyo, a person who dedicated his life to choral music as a program director, as an announcer in Umhlobonene, or a presenter, presenting the choral music program every Sunday. And you would see that in each and every corner of South Africa, people at 1 o'clock would find time to open or to listen to Umhlobo Wenene, listening to that beautiful voice of Ubulelani Koyo, as nezo choirs, ezizawuyolisa umphefumlo. We have lost a hero, really. We have lost a happy soul, Ubulelani Koyo. He was like a little star. At the age of 23 years, Jane Taylor, a lyricist, an English poet, a novelist, penned a poem which I think it befits the life of this young giant, Ubulelani Koyo. He penned a poem which says, "The Star." And she starts this poem by saying, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." And after that first verse, she asks a question: "How I wonder what you are." But without putting a question mark on that question, the lady puts an exclamation mark, which symbolizes or indicates the major significance of what she is asking. She continues to say, "Up above the world, so high, like a diamond in the sky." And she comes back again to say, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." I think if Jane Taylor was alive today, after Bulelani Koyo started this program directing as a little guy, a very young guy, in 2008, she would ask this question, or she would say, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." And when Bulelani Koyo moves to being a gospel singer, Jane Taylor would say to Bulelani Koyo, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." And when Bulelani Koyo moves to other programs which he was running or he was presenting in Umhlobo Wenene, as he as they were saying, or as they were saying in the last memorial service, or in his funeral, that Bulelani Koyo used to run many programs, even the 12 down. And Jane Taylor would say, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." We have really lost as the choral music. And without wasting that time, ladies and gentlemen, those were my opening remarks. I want to ask Ubabu Poloshe, who is one of the program directors, to say something and tell us about sharing a stage. How was it? How was it sharing a stage with Bulelani Koyo? Mr. Bolosha, over to you, sir.
Program director, pardon me, I'm right in the midst of load shedding. I will try, program director, to weigh in for and on behalf of the program directors, and I suspect people that have worked with Bulelani. It gratifies my soul tonight, having attended his funeral, to say to the choral fraternity, thank you very much for all those ladies and gentlemen that came down on Fort Beaufort to pay tribute and our last respect to this son of the soil, a gentleman whom tonight I want to regard as a gentleman of song. We, program director, want to appreciate the opportunity afforded to us and maybe hasten to extend our felicitation and gratitude to the Koyo family, Omteka, Mazaleni, or Chwaha, to say thank you very much for having allowed Koyo to be what God has created him to be. We want to say thank you today, and we know there's jubilation in heaven. Diocese Abembona, when he joins the pilgrimage church that has gone before us to praise the Lord. And we have no doubt in our minds that the little time that was afforded to him, he did his best. And I'm reminded of a scripture that says, I knew you while you were in the liquid form in your mother's womb. And God says, all I had were my plans, and my plans were not to harm you, but to prosper you. And I'm saying this has been proven and demonstrated in Koyo's life in the choral fraternity. Because within the short space of time, when he had announced his arrival, he did not just sit back, but he was a force to be reckoned with. And the professional manner in which he conducted himself to advance and promote choral music today, it deserves a really a recognition, and we want to applaud him and the family for the commitment and dedication, that he has demonstrated. The fact that he was able to drive around the entire country and be able to sleep even at times in areas that are very, very uncomfortable just to promote choral music, it is really recommendable. It's really commendable. And we tonight, with jubilation, there's joy in my mind, having attended his funeral. What caught my mind is the procession when we entered that hall. And I dare say, if you understand what God has called you to do, and you do exactly what God has called you, you'll never fail. And that procession, I saw the Holy Spirit coming down. I saw the heavens happy. Bethi buye ekhaya mfana, you have run the race, you have kept your faith, come and get umqhele wakho. Sithanda ke sizi program directors, the choral fraternity, to say those who are aspiring to be part of this directorate that I call program directing should draw lessons from Impilo Koyo. One, how we dress in the choral fraternity. Two, how we behave in the choral fraternity. 3, how we articulate and have an in-depth knowledge of the songs that are sung there, the sections that are there, and respecting even the organizers and the choristers and conductors, appreciating their commitment. Today we celebrate his life and this memorial service being held posthumously. We want to say, Program Director, Enkosi, kubantu bakwajaha bephelele, enkosi kumzi wasebhofolo ophume ngenqu wayobeka ithambo lethu. We claim him today as a young legend that has left an indelible mark in our life. And thank you very much to the support that was given by the friends that assisted Koyo to realize his dream of being part of us as a choral fraternity. Kalomazi, thank you very much, and we really appreciate and we're indebted in his wonderful work that he has contributed in the entire choral fraternity. uNkulunkulu ampe ukuphumla. May he rest in peace and rise in God's glory. As we have no doubt in our mind that uyibekile induku yabantu kuthiwa udoda bukhulelo sikubone apha kuKoyo uba indeed if you are destined and you are focused and you believe in God, God is able to send forth his Holy Spirit, lift you up and realize your dream, and indeed you shall reach your destination. Kalomazi sithi ukuphumla baphiwe, inyembezi zosuliwe. And I know that there's jubilation in heaven. I want to say kufamily yakhe, especially kumntana wakhe ubonotata bethunyiwe, uwenze within the short space of time lento abeyithumile. Mntanam, funda ke emanyathelweni akhe. Ngifuna ukuthi kusapho lonke liphela enkosi ngokusiboleka uKoyo. He will all the time resonate in our mind. For time immemorial, we shall remember him as a legend. Program Director, thank you very much for the opportunity. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Boloshe. Thanks. Wachoka mandi uthetha ngomhlobo wakho, whom we were sharing a stage with him. We really are going to remember this young guy. Dimthande xegezela zonke. He used to tease a lot of churches. Amapostile, amawisile, onke nje, all the churches, as if he was part or he was one of the congregants in one or in those churches. But we will miss that soul, that happy soul ka Bulelani Koyo. Bulelani Koyo was a friend to most of us, if not to all of us. We did, uthandiwe lo mntu. We loved him a lot. Miss Gcisa, makakasixelele ngobuhlobo bakhe noBulelani Koyo. We will hand over to Gcisa to tell us about his bosom friend, Bulelani. Over to you, Gcisa.
Manithabathe elithuba ndibulise kumphathi nkqubo, kumfundisi osivulele le nkqubo, nakubo bonke abasijoyinayo kumakhasi onxibelelwano. Ndiyanibulisa nonke kuyo le nkonzo yesikhumbuzo kamsasazi uKoyo ngalo igama lenkosi yethu ngeyesu Kristu. Namhlanje ndicelwe okokuba ndithethele abahlobo bakaBulelani. UBK ke ube nabahlobo abaninzi kakhulu, wonke umuntu ungumhlobo wakhe osenyongweni kuye. Ube nesakhono esisodwa sokwenza wonke umuntu azive engumhlobo wakhe ongoyena uclose kuye, lento kuthiwa i-best friend ngolwasemzini. Ndizawuthetha ke ngento esiyifundileyo, eyona ethe yabalasela kuBulelani singabahlobo bakhe. Eyona nto siyifundileyo ke kuBulelani luthando. Uthando abe nalo uBulelani nasikhombise lona nanjengabahlobo bakhe, luthando endingathi logqitha konke ukuqonda. Usithandile uBulelani singabahlobo bakhe kakhulu. uBulelani bengumuntu ongonqiniki ukufowunela nje akuxelele ngendlela akuthanda ngayo nangendlela obaluleke ngayo ebomini bakhe. Ndikhumbula nje ibali elifutshane ngexesha le-COVID-19 apho uMongezi Boloshe wayesesibhedlele efunyenwe yi-COVID. uBulelani inoba wandifowunela kalishumi endicenga into yoba mandifowunele uBholoshe ndimtshekishe uba unjani na. Wabe yena phofu esoyika kangangendlela ebeligwala ngayo, kodwa enolathando nolumkhathaleleyo umuntu efuna ukuyazi ukuba unjani na. So uBulelani ke ebengumuntu onjalo osithandayo kakhulu sonke. Sifundile ke uthando kuBulelani, yeyona nto azawusishiya nayo. Siza kumkhumbula ngolo thando lwakhe. Ndizawuthi ke kubahlobo abanhliziyo zidandathekileyo ngawo lo mzuzu, masixole nto zakuthi, masamkele, sibambelele kwezo voice notes zethu apho uBulelani ke wonke umuntu ne-voice notes zakhe anazo noBulelani, be-it biyokuba i-jokes bekuhletywa, ngoba wonke umuntu uBulelani benehlebo anale naye nawuphi na umuntu. Siyabulela ke nakusapho lwakhe lokusikhulisela umuntu onje obathande kangaka abantu. uBulelani ke ubelithandazwe, usithande kakhulu. Ndiyabulela ke msasazi ngelithuba oninike lona. Enkosi kakhulu ke tishara.
Yes. Hey. Benehlobo ke lo mntu. Had a lot of friends. ake ndambona ngapha kude. I doubt if there is any place that he has never ever visited apha eMzantsi Afrika. Ambone eBhalito, dibane noKoyo eBhalito, ungazibe ufuna ntoni. Gqigqi noKoyo eKimberley. Uzuqonda bebathanda abantu ubulelani Koyo. So thank you very much, Sister. At the end of the program, someone will officially thank you for sharing the memories of Bulelani Koyo as a friend. Without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, we shall hand over to uMamkhize akasixelele ngobulelani Koyo behind the mic. Ugezile sikhona into esimane sizibona iclips esizibonayo xa behind the mic eyedwa phaya encoma ingoma phaya eyayidla endibona into bayiconductwa nguSibu lo uSibunjeza eUCT if I'm not mistaken. Bonto uyagula lo mfana, but ke Mamkhize, you were both broadcasting on the national radio stations. Bekunjani ubroadcaster now nobulelani Koyo? Kawusixelele.
Greetings to everyone here tonight. Ngibingelela kakhulu umndeni wakwaKoyo, amajwaha amahle, the choral music family at large. Igama lami uThokozani uMamkhize wakandlovu. Celebrations have been held even before UBK was laid to rest. Siyabonga to all the organizers for such a noble thought. Once again, here we are paying our last respects to a man that was full of energy, a man that was so loving, a man that was very committed to choral music. Siyabonga BK, umsebenzi omuhle osenzele wona. As a broadcaster, you have to be informative. You have to always honor your appointment with the listener, and UBK did just that. He was one of the young broadcasters who had a very rich music library, and UBK would never give you his music. I remember as SABC music broadcasters, we would share music. UBK would never give you his music. Hey, Mam TK, zizixhobo zami ezi. So I remember when I needed music, I would call uMahloko, and then I would call UBK. I'd say, oh, Mam TK, BK, guma wako mina, and then he will give it to me. He would present his program in a manner that you would think it's going to be nominated for an award, and of course he won many awards. OPK was very creative. Of late, he did the quiz in his program, and we would all laugh because sitting at home, I would be trying to answer those questions. Gitwal would know, maybe I don't know half of them, but it made the program very interesting and very light-hearted. Siyabonga to the family, siyabonga to all the people who worked with BK and showed him love and support. He deserved that. Sithi hamba kahle ndoda, ulale ngokuthula. Ngiyabonga kakhulu ngaleli thuba.
Thank you very much, Mamkhize. Siyabulela kakhulu ngosibalisela ngobombo kaKoyo behind the mic. Sibu, we can't hand over to the member of the Conductors Forum without playing something. Please, I hand over to you to play something, some music.
Uwe wetambeliwa, owasio
Thank you, Sbu. May we hand over to Monty without wasting time. Monty, you were together with Bulelani with South African Conductors Forum, and also Bulelani used to program direct in programs where you were conducting your choir. Can you tell us about Bulelani Koya as you were sharing the stage in platforms of choral music? Monty?
Colleagues, friends, and family, good evening. Maybe before I can speak about Ntate Bulelani Kolo, I'm happy that today I'm even privileged you can read your name Ntate Kolo as Thomas. I never knew that your name is Thomas. When I was asked to say a word about my friend, I actually wanted to speak directly from my heart. But then I realized that I might miss. I then decided to put some few points on a piece of paper. Today we are paying tribute to a choral practitioner with not only singing capabilities, but also a man of many words. He understood that singing is an extension of speech. We are talking here of a man with a lot of jokes and very playful, yet he knew when it's time to focus. BK interviewed me a lot of times talking about the choir that I belong to, Kopano Chorus, and choral development in general. He was at the funeral and the memorial service of Reverend Jaklas. We spoke intensely during the funeral of Ntatem Tura Majeke. He was shattered during the funeral of Menu Lufefe. Needless to mention how devastated he was when Dr. Makamjana his head was laid to rest. The question that remains unattended is, what is my role and what is your role, or rather the mandate in this craft? I know it's a very tired topic in that he left before it was clearly unpacked. This question was and still is not only composed for either me or BK, but all of us. I really want to call his passing purpose. What is your purpose and what is your contribution in this beautiful genre? Is choral music about competitions, singing of the national anthem, choruses in church and during funerals? When are we finding a way to be part of the mainstream? We conceive singing artists, we give birth to them, we teach them music, we support them. They cross the floor to grow their career and still find us at the same stationary point. Speaking of our generation, it's actually worse. We are committed to mastering what used to be the main practices of choral music in the past and forget about our possible contribution, just like everything evolves. We need to come up with a celebratory proposal that will talk about all these choral stalwarts as we empower young conductors and aspiring soloists. There must be a business model that can help us be recognized as one of those who are significant in the arts. Remember, we need to brainstorm and generate ideas like this to improve our way of living within our space or sector. Nal BK had a numerous conversation regarding the sector, especially when I was still a member of South African Conductors Forum. He believed that for as long as we are shy or uncomfortable to state the facts that may bring change, then we'll remain stuck. We've got nowhere to go. Rest, boys. I know how much you respected every person, especially in the fraternity. Robala Buti. We all know that you rested striving to unify this sector. Lala Mhlekazi. You are now our ancestor. You foresee, you foretell. We will take the baton and run. Let me not keep you for long, for you have a long list of people to greet and plan your heavenly concert. Rest in peace. Thank you so much.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Monty. Thank you. You said it mouthful, Putti. Thank you very much. We see the messages that are running at the bottom of the screen and wishes of people and also commenting on some speakers. We see them. Thank you very much, colleagues, for joining the platform. Without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to hand over to Mr. George Mohlala to represent the South African Choral Music Association. Over to you, Putti. George, where are you? All right, thanks. I think I will hand over. I will ask Spoo to put some music again, even if you have got a choir, whilst Mr. Mohlala is preparing himself to represent the South African Choral Music Association. Can you play some music, Spoo? Yes, we still have a technological problem or a problem of technology. Mr. Mohlala is just preparing himself to get in. If he's not ready again, can you play something again, Sbu, so that he gets ready to take the stage? And immediately after Mr. Mohlala, we shall hand over to Reverend to do his sermon. And then we hand over to Mr. Mahluku to do a vote of thanks. Sbu, can you play something, please? Thank you, Sbu. Whilst we are helping Mr. Moshala behind the scenes, so as he connects without wasting time or delaying the program, we shall hand over to Reverend Mali. We can see Mr. Mushlala is coming in. Can you unmute your mic, please? I think there is a technical problem there. Thank you. Over to you, Mfundisi.
Manibulise kakhulu tata, ndibulele le nyweba endiyifuna umanayo nendinikwayo okokuba ndibe yinxalenye yale program yaka-BK the Maestro Bulelani kaKoyo, ungu-licentiate welibandla lase-African Methodist Episcopal Church, uconductor ophume izandla, imvumi eyaziwayo, umfo okhangela ngaphaya kwabanye abantu ababona khona, isiquququ somuntu esithanda ukusebenza nokuba abantu sele behleli phansi. Mandenza ilizwi qala lombulelo kuba bonke abantu abaye babe le program bayibeke ukuba mayibe kule ndawo, ingakumbi kwabo bebehamba naye kule fraternal ye-choristers. Okwesibini, ndenza umbulelo ndibulise kwifamily, ndicela ukuba uThixo ayigcine ngexesha le-challenges elizifumanayo lokumkelwa yile phila yelikhaya, umakhulu umfundisi uKoyo, abantwana ingakumbi intombi yakhe nosapho lonke lukaKoyo nehlobenzela amanzi amajwarha. uThixo makabagcine kule jeni intsha abazawungena kuyo abangayiqhelanga, ngoba uBulelani ebengumuntu oyikhathaleleyo neyithanda ifamily yakhe. Okwesithathu, ukubulela okokuba uThixo enzile le fraternal esikuyo yomculo apha eMzantsi Afrika ibe nabantu abafana naye. uThixo abanike izipho, uThixo abanike italente abangathanga bona bazithathe bazibeke phansi kwetafile, kodwa bakhanyisela abanye abantu abakhoyo apha elizweni. Siyambonga kuThixo ngabantu abanjalo, ngoba balo lwakhe nezinto zakhe azenzayo ezibonakalayo, abathi ukubanika ezo zipho nezo talente zabo bahlale bona bazisebenzele ukwakha isizwe. Kwanga kuThixo angamenza uBulelani umphefumulo wakhe uphumle uBK, ngoba yena usebenzile yaye ubulelekile ngelixesha lincinci lifutshane egula besingena kususa ukufa kuye. Fraternal yomculo yomelelani, ndiphethe nje amazwi esiwafunikwa kule ncwadi kaYoshua kwesahluko sokuqala. Kukho khona amazwi abhalileyo phaya athi, wathi uMoses umkhonzi wami ufile, suka ke ngoku uyiwele iYordani le wena naba bantu, niya kwelo zwe ndandinika lona oonyana bakaSirayeli, indawo zonke eziya kunyathela kuyo ndathethayo kuMoses. Akuyi kuma mntu phambi kwakho, ngoko ndandinoMoses ndakuba nawe, andiyi kukuyekela, andiyi kukushiya. Yomelela ukhaliphe, ngoba wena uyakubalabalela bona eli lizwe, kodwa ke yomelela ukhaliphe kunene, ukuze ugcine ukwenza umyalelo wonke akuyisele khona uMoses. Verse number 9 uthi, bobawo, yabona ndikusela umthetho ukuba womelele ukhaliphe, musa unkwanya, ungaqiphi kumbulini, ngokuba uYehova uThixo wakho unawe apho sukuba usiya khona. Thixo ke makasikelele amazwi ngoku kude bekunaphakade. Amen. Wonke umuntu apha ebomini bakhe unamaxesha afumane ii-challenges athi xa edibana nazo zimbethe i-vision okanye ii-dreams zakhe zibe shaken and unstable. Wonke umuntu apha ebomini bakhe uyafikelwe zimo ezimenza okokuba athandabuze okokuba le trend okanye le route ayithathayo ingaba yilento anqwenela ukuba beyiyo kude bese kupheleni kuseni na. Xa zifika i-challenges emntwini zimenza nokuba xa zivela macala onke zimenza lo mntu abe nentandabuzo ezininzi eza kumenza okokuba angafikeleli okanye angabi nawo amandla okufikelela kule ndawo abheka kuyo. Wonke umntu uthi xa ngahamba ebomini kufike kube khona i-stumbling blocks, the obstacles ezizawuthi apha ekuhambeni kwakhe abone okokuba ubomi obu abukho smooth, izinto ezazifunayo azizofika lula, i-success yakhe akazoyifumana overnight ngoba ubomi buhambe bube ne-ups and downs endleleni yakhe. uYoshua unyana kaNuni ufumana izinto zokokuba abe kule period ayinikwe nguThixo kwi-divisions ezintathu zayo abe nokukhonza nokulandela indlela awayifundiswe ngayo nguMoses. uYoshua unyana kaNuni ubizwa nguMoses ebuncinaneni bakhe, uthunywa okokuba makayahambe emveni kokuba for 40 years ehleli eyiphutha efunda izinto ezenzeka khona, elandela with all i-attention efanelekileyo izinto aziboniswa nasifundiswa nguMoses. uYoshua uthi emveni kokuba bephumile eyiphutha uMoses ethathwe i-leadership ayinikwa nguThixo ahambe for 40 years enhlango ebonisa uMoses izinto efuneka zenzekile. Uthatha lo mfana kaNuni kwakunye nabanye abalishumi nasibabini, 12 of them, to become ispies zokuya kukhangela ilizwe alinikwe nguThixo. Ithi iBhayibhile xa ithetha ngendawo chapter kwincwadi yeNumeri ithi out of the 12 spies that went into the promised land over the river to go and assess what is it that God promised them, only 2 came back with positive results. The other 10 had negative report. Ethi asinakuya sithathe lo lizwe. But lo mfana thetha ngaye namhlanje was so positive and strong in everything that he was doing with uCaleb. Babuya bathi siyabona uba aba bantu niyivile report yabanye ethi ilizwe esiya kulo asinako ukuya kuthatha ngoba abantu esokudibana nabo bazinqilimbela. We are like grasshoppers to them. We are nothing to them. They are so strong and powerful. So we don't have the strength, we don't have the power to go and overcome them. But in the Bible, uMoses, uYoshua kwakunye noCaleb bayithulisa indawo ababekuyo, bayithulisa i-crowds zakwaIsrael bathi eli lizwe silinikwe nguThixo, eli lizwe amandla ethu anako ukuba asinike siyongena kulo, masiyeni silithathe. Which means uJoshua was so strong and powerful, had a vision, had the glory on his side, and he knew that uThixo uzakuhamba naye. In the Bible, they were able to go into the promised land, and Joshua became only with Caleb. The only 2 were able to enter the promised land. Thirdly, ngexesha uJoshua enikwa apha uMoses selemkile selefile uthi uThixo kuye, Joshua, Moses my servant is no more. When Moses died, there was a leadership gap in Israel. There was somebody who was needed to take over the reign and the leadership efunekayo khona. And God looked at those people who had strength, who had power, who had the will, who had the faithfulness and trustworthiness of leading abantu bakhe. And Joshua was taken as umntu onongena athabathe over from Moses. Ithi iBhayibhile yam ngexesha eyithatha Joshua this leadership role, he had absolutely nothing but the experience that he gained from following Moses. A good follower will always make a good leader. Somebody who sits behind and somebody who learns from other people will always be there when God comes and gives him a glory or can give him a leadership role. And Joshua was that kind of a leader. In the Bible, immediately he was given a task, Joshua was able to fulfill that task. Whatever stands before you, Joshua, I will be with you. Everywhere you go, I will be with you. Hamba womelele ukhaliphe apho uya khona uyakuba nawe andikukushiya andikukuyekela. Inyawo zakho kwindawo ezinyathela kuyo elo lizwe inyathela kulo ndiyakunika lona. Aba bantu xa bakhokela, ewe Joshua, akuzoba lula, akuzoba khaphukhaphu. Uzayifumana opposition, uzawufumana intetho, uzawufumana amatye, uzawufumana uthiywa, uzawufumana obstacles. Everybody is going to be against you, but I am God, and I know that with me on your side, nothing will ever fail, because I know that if you trust in me as Joshua, as your God, Joshua, you will succeed. Thatha babantu Joshua, ubaweze ulwandle umlambo iJordani, ungene nalo kulizwe ngoba mna ndiredi ndinguThixo. The only thing that I'm waiting on, Joshua, is for you to admit and to accept my own directive. Itsho le ndawo, chapter number 8, number 1, verse number 8. Ithi ke musukuntlwantya ungaqiphiki umbilini, which means in the absence of those people abafana Bulelani, those who are left behind must be strong and faithful, must not have any fears, because owethu Thixo uthi uyakuba nathi, uzawusigcina, uzawusithwala. Kwi-chorus fraternal, kwi-family yakwaKoyo, uBulelani akasekho. Bulelani, my servant, is no more, kodwa nina nisekhona. Uthi uThixo ke ngoku, thabathani kule ndawo benisiyele kuyo ezi zinto ebezenza nani. Ukubulaleka kwakhe, ukusebenza kwakhe, ukuzama kwakhe, ukwenza kwakhe indlela zokuba i-fraternal okanye i-choirs ziphakame eradioweni, abe nguye osolokekho every Sunday. Bulelani would leave church, every program of the church, and go and perform his duties every Sunday afternoon, because he wanted us as choristers to have something that is showing us that God is blessing us in many ways. Use your talent, use your gifts, use your abilities, use your strength, whatever you have. uThixo akunika yona. uThixo apha akasekho obenayo, kodwa thina sisekhona. Take up the baton, follow up on God's footsteps, and make it a point that whatever he has left behind, ilegacy yakhe ingafi, kodwa izinto bezenza ezinhle sizithathe thina sihambayo silinyathele ezinyaweni singene endleleni entsha, ngoba in 3 days ithi le ndawo nizawungena eJordani. Xa ningena ngapha kulizwe niwele iJordani, bazawubuza abantwana benu nakufika kwilizwe ledini, ayintoni na la matye. Xa niwelile iJordani, there should be some tombstones endizawuzibeka phaya ezizawuqala ukuba xa nibhala amagama babhali, xa nibhala amagama e-composers okanye amagama e-artists zonke bezikhona zihamba nabantu abafanele Bulelani, avele loo magama, babuza abantwana ayintoni la matye. You will say as abantu beKoyo fraternal, la matye ngababantu abebenyanisekile ngexesha sihamba entlango, abantu abalandela bakhonza bamlandela uKristu ngaphandle kwentandabuzo, basebenzisa italente zabo, babhala amaculo, baphakamisa umgangatho womculo eSouth Africa. Namhlanje uBulelani igama lakhe lizawuvela kuloo matye, igama lakhe lizawuvela lime nabantu abangaphaya kwabasibaziyo ngokwalapha emhlabathini. uThixo makanisikelele, aninike amandla xa ningena kwii-programs zenu, kwezi challenges zikhoyo zabantu abangafikiyo, zabantu abangazinikeliyo ne-commitment engekhoyo. uThixo makaninike ubulumko xa kuvele i-stumbling blocks ne-obstacles, ningoyiki ngoba uthi ndawuba nani, andisayi kunishiya, andisani kuyiniyekela ngoba mna ndinguThixo. May you be blessed in every aspect of ikhwaya zethu, in every field that you are gathering together ku-2022 naku-2023. As we enter into a program esinazo, i-unity ibuyele ibe khona emculweni. Abantu bathi bakuhlala be-destabilized, be-destroyed, be-demotivated, ithi awuvuma ezimvumi athi uThixo xa efana okanye noDavide zivele zidumise uThixo ngaphaya kwezi ngxaki zikhoyo. Yakuvela iSouth Africa nabantwana bethu abatshabalala zii-drugs, nabakhaya ethu aphele utywala, nezindlu zethu ezihekayo, kodwa uThixo ngenxa yomculo oculwa nini kule fraternal yenu, oculwa nini ngezitalente zenu, eculwa nini ngokukhompoza kwenu, abone okokuba there is hope in our country, there is hope because you are there as our leaders. uThixo makaninike amandla, aninike ubulumko, aninike ukomelela, nazi okokuba le nto niyiphathisiweyo ningadlali ngayo. Akasekho uBulelani, Wake up, stand up, and take the baton and move forward. May you be blessed in many ways. Amen.
Amen. Amen mfundisi. Siyabulela kakhulu umfundisi ngamazwi yakho amnandi. Amazwi asixhobisayo athi uzawuba nathi apho siya khona. Lo myalezo usuka kongasentla. Siyabulela mfundisi. Into ezakwenzeka uGeorge has got a problem of connecting where he is. Ezinto ze-technology, he can access the program, but angakwazi uthetha ngene. As a result, he has requested the president of South African Choral Music Association, Mr. Mzwandile Matthews, to read his speech. And without wasting time, we shall hand over to the president, Mr. Matthews. Can you please share the stage reading the speech that was going to be presented by Mr. Mohlala? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Program Director. I'm just going to comply as you have instructed and just read the speech as was sent to me by Mr. Mohlala. Program Director, allow me to greet everyone present and active on this platform, and further extend my heartfelt greetings to those who are watching and following this virtual event from the comfort of their homes. My special greetings to Mr. Koyo, the Program Director, and the Koyo family and relatives, all the speakers, the South African Conductors Forum, the Choral family, its supporters, the SACMA, in conjunction with the great composer, Mr. Spusi Sonjeza, who jointly with the SACMA organized this august event, and of course all distinguished guests in all their various levels of distinction. My name is George Mohlala, who, on the behest of the National Executive Committee, was requested, if not instructed, to speak on behalf of the SACMA. Also is one amongst the thousands who in disbelief got to know of such a great soul whose life was prematurely cut short while at its prime. Program Director, I guess it is also very important to first thank all the people who organized the other memorial services in honor of Bulelani, which were really befitting to our beloved brother BK. I witnessed one, if the most dignified event, characterized by a truly ebullient, a lively yet with most touching accounts as various speakers who eloquently and articulately shared and exchanged the podium along with the moving eulogies delivered, including during the day of the funeral. I saw colleagues and friends from all over the country who came to the Eastern Cape to honor this legend and maestro, the likes of my dearest friends such as Tembo Madloba, Michael Dingan, Stomo and Lungile Jacobs, Mungis Poloshe, Patko Mafani, a flurry of other conductors from around the Eastern Cape, and many other great musicians such as Mr. Dikolo, great composers and the likes of Mr. Biata, and many more great friends from the different provinces. Thank you, and thank you once again for having considered it important to ensure that you blessed those occasions with your most valuable presence in such a great manner you did, in providing our motionless, speechless, yet still audible and conspicuous brother the most dignified send-off. Today, or should I say this evening, I would not like to speak much about BK's glory, but rather about his story. A lot of different testimonies presented with a litany of adjectives used to tell how BK, the maestro, was a pastor, motivator, communicator, community builder he was. Of course, at this age, we all concur that is intelligence and diligence, surpasses biological age. A truly matured cadre of song, the loved and respected man of clergy, a great musician, program director, and a great music program presenter of note, who distinguished himself from many other men and women with the microphone through his humility and humaneness, coupled with humor and love for us as people, particularly those linked with this art form and God-fearing souls who will miss his sermons along with his spirit-piercing voice, smile, and irresistible laughter. We all know him of. That ends the speech as was sent to me by Mr. Mhlala. Thank you very much, Mr. Program Director.
Thank you very much. Yes, hamba kahle mfoka Koyo. Utsho uTodd Machikiza. Masiphinde sibuyele pha Mr. Matthews to read the last part of the speech sent by Mr. George Muhlala. Over to you, Mr. Matthews.
Mandixolise Mphathi Theko. This message came in two parts. I only focused on the first part and didn't look at the second part of the message. My sincere apologies about that. The second part goes as follows. How I wish that the spirit of the camaraderie could actually be preserved and sustained, seeing all musicians together, thinking and singing in sync with a marvel to watch. Sorry, it was a marvel to watch. I'm saying this because our choral industry is plagued and infested with rather unpleasant tendencies, to an extent that, in comparison, messages of hope, love, and true brotherliness reverberates better in the shebeens and beer halls than the jealously animosity and acrimony you see and hear in music halls, concert halls, opera houses, choral music meetings and gatherings. If you were to move around and take a moment to visualize the temporal joy, most importantly, the temporal sense of unity and social cohesion we usually feel when at a place like the Rema Church during the annual SACMA National Finals. Imagine when Bolosha says, when the choir is on the stage, we go shh. The cooperation, order and discipline is so clear and commendable. Why not preserve and sustain the same tendency? We've tended to be like those self-acclaimed who are so blasphemous on that during the church service or during the sermon and worshipping are so filled with godliness, but immediately they exit the temple, they leave God behind and go back to their devious and evil ways. The reason of such an analogy is simply because it touches what BK died preaching and teaching, unity in the choral fraternity. That is what he adored. And if there's anything that he always decried and abhorred, is the disunity that characterizes our industry. At mouthing each other, sabotaging instead of supporting each other. In fact, a fog is a dog. Culture does not only defines how we relate to each other, but it also actually institutionalizes itself. No wonder we are not respected as a result of not respecting each other. We are undervalued as we do not value each other. The very music we claim to love suddenly has tended to be the reason to hate each other. Where is the divine power of music? For a moment, just think of one of the late Professor S.J. Kosa's song, Matimba ya Buimbeleri, which speaks about positive power of music. Seeing what is happening, he's definitely turning in his grave. Whatever challenges and hardships we might be going through as individuals in this industry shouldn't and must not cause us to repel each other, but to unite. And what we are today is regrettable. To say we are weak and disunited, even though we all know that our strength is in our unity. Nevertheless, we seem to have chosen and embraced fighting and biting each other as if we are enemies. Unfortunately, this tendency is inimical and counterproductive. It will take us nowhere. In honor of Abike's teaching and preaching, if not his legacy, let's all find it proper in our hearts to at least respect each other of his main wishes, love and unity in the choral industry. President Mandela once said, I quote, "You'll never impact on society until you've changed yourself," end quote. In the eyes of those who love and cherish music, and those who pin their hopes on us, we are a disgrace. until and unless we start to think differently, until or unless we acknowledge that our weakness is embedded right inside the womb of our disunity, which is characterized by the selfless ambition, jealousy, envy, and the over-exaggerated sense of self-importance. The South African choral industry is 1, morally weak, 2, economically weak, and 3, spiritually confused. Politically myopic, whilst being the most supported genre, artistically gifted, educated, skilled, fully equipped, and armed with knowledge to not only improve ourselves, but to be the enablers for transformation of our country. Remember, there is a difference between singing in harmony and singing in unison. What is common in both is unity of time, unity of sound, and unity of mood. It's like in a symphony, where everyone plays his part without one compromising one's part or undermining another's role in the whole scene of things. There's no problem in having Zinpek, Imvunge, Satika, Confessor, SACMA, and so on, for we all are bound by the same interest, which is making better music and music making, in turn making us better. We are distinguishable but inseparable, inextricably bound to each other. We might be many different mouths while speaking the same language, or at least telling and pursuing the same ideas and ideals. In dipping our heads and in the honor of BK, let's invigorate the lost spirit of singing and thinking together. Let's cross-pollinate our very strong and good ideas to enhance the dignity, nobility, and growth of this divine art form, which for known and unknown reasons is unfairly trivialized and devilized, whilst others benefit from it. Let's love, peace, and positive energy start to radiate within our hearts and minds and try to make straight whatever is crooked. We have to find a way for ourselves to deal decisively with all those smaller things that keep us far and away from each other. We need a national Bosperat, dialogues, colloquium, imbizo, national inda, or whatever form or shape the platform could take to afford time and space to get our industry back to where it belongs. And most importantly, to reclaim our worth, value, and respect, which we ourselves have injudiciously and injuriously caused ourselves. This is what BK's story was about. This is what BK preached, and an ideal he died praying for. BK was a man of peace, and if we hear and heed towards his word and take counsel from his wisdom and suppress our inner fears to protect and promote our industry that is in ruins, BK in his grave will, in his loud and jovial voice, say, "Nanso okay." That is it. As a peaceful man of God, I am certain that in the wake of all these senseless mass killings, BK will be abhorrently disapproving these gun crimes that are aimed at threatening peace, stability, and unity on our streets, homes, and our country. I imagine Jim shouting to the top of his voice, if, of course, with a smile and humility, "Aye, man, let us stop hurting and killing each other. But love and embrace each other." Isaiah 6, verse 1, as a reference for describing the vision in which Isaiah sees his vision of the Lord of hosts. He's not buried, but planted into the soil, whilst the choral industry is agonizing it has to remain organized. How I wish that the spirit of the camaraderie that actually be preserved and sustained, seeing all musicians together. That's how that second part started. And there ends the speech that was sent to me by Mr. George Mhlala. Thank you very much, Mr. Program Director.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Thank you very much. Oh, hey, something is common to all the speakers. Even in Port Elizabeth, in the memorial service of this young giant, the MEC of Department of Sport, Recreation, of Arts and Culture preached unity. And secondly, Umonti, when he was speaking, he preached unity in the choral music. And now Mr. George Mhlala is also preaching unity. And Koyo preached unity when he was still alive. This says something to us as choral music practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, and all the associations or organizations that are leading music, choral, particularly choral music in South Africa. This disunity is really not good for our genre. I shall now hand over to the last speaker, Mr. Mahluku, to propose the vote of thanks to all those that have participated and made this day a success. I don't know, Kesbu, whether you have something to play before Mr. Mahluku speaks, or you will play after his speech. I hand over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for affording me this opportunity. I would like, firstly, to thank everyone who made this visual memorial service possible. And I should also thank all the speakers. Reverend Mali, thank you very much, with wonderful words. Indeed, we lost a very young, dedicated choralist, a vibrant presenter in our choral fraternity. Not only our listeners as broadcasters, but presenters too. We have lost a friend, a brother, and the entertainer. Mamkize, Tokozani Mamkize Ndlovu, thank you very much for telling us about BK, the broadcaster. Everyone will agree that this is one of the area he excelled very well on it. His influence as a broadcaster transcended the barriers and the boundaries of language. He was able to communicate with audience across the length and breadth of our country, regardless of which language they spoke. He stood head and shoulders above the rest, and he leaves a large footprint and impeccable legacy in the broadcast industry. And for that, we will always appreciate and celebrate his life for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say, BK was given this life because he was strong enough to live it. To my colleagues in the broadcasting industry, I just want to share this with you. Best friends are irreplaceable because of the hard times we've gone through together and still yet never giving up on each other. Let's stay strong. Let's be together in every aspect of choral fraternity. With those few words, the choralists, allow me on behalf of the choral presenters to say thank you very much for having trust on us at all times as broadcasters or presenters. And we will continue to serve this genre with everything that we have. Thank you very much. BK, Bulelani, BK, the Maestro Koyo, Robala Kagotso. I thank you all. Thank you, Program Director.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Mahluku, for that wonderful vote of thanks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end of our program. But now, we just need to remember Bulelani Koyo by music. Eyona nto beyiphila, be it gospel or choral music. Sbu, naba bantu bamamele Fondini. Play something. Let's celebrate the life of Koyo.
Uyabona ke mfoka Koyo, le jwaha sizi artists ase Eastern Cape sikukhapha ngayo. Ay abakahle. Thixolise indala.
Bulelani Koyo, siyobona nekuseni, RIP.
Yes, thank you, Sibu. Usenayo into onoqongqotha nje awunanto sekoyini ingxotha sidla ngotsho phaa kwaXhosa ithi ingxotha mfondini. Sibu. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have come to the end of our program now. As Mr. Mahluko has already pronounced, we thank everyone who has supported this program. It would not be good if we hadn't made this closure for our choral giant as choral music. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sibo, I hand over intambo kuwe ke ngoku.